So I've been thinking on how to approach this video because you guys know what the video is about. It's about flowers. And it's been a week, 7 days I've been drawing flowers and coloring them, and I want to show you guys the progress that I've made coloring, and I've improved in coloring. And without further ado, I'll show you guys the flowers. I'll show you the first flower. And the first flower is a gumamela. And as you can see here, I'm still using an HB pencil when drawing the flower. And as I continue to draw flowers, instead of using the HB pencil, I start directly with the coloring pencils because that's what I've been using to color my drawings, coloring pencils. And this is the first one. And it's pretty interesting how the shadings differ from each petal. And the more I zoomed in, I saw some veins in the petals. And one thing I realized is that each petal is like a leaf, very similar to a leaf. And moving on to the next flower. This is a hydrangea. And now this one, I use the HB pencil on the stem, but when it comes to the flower and the leaves here, I went straight with using the coloring pencils. And I did get the proportion of the bundle of flowers here wrong. What happened is that it looked like this. So there's like this empty part here that I filled with a bunch of petals. And as you can see here, I'm starting to work with like the gradients from the darker green to lighter green, from, well, the darker blue to a lighter blue. And I'm pretty happy with the combination of the flowers with the leaves here. Now moving on. Now this is the next one, a yellow bell. And this was pretty challenging because the color yellow is so light that I was using, well, my flashlight, as you can see here. I was using my flashlight when I was drawing this to see the yellow outlines that I've made. And this is where I started to improve on the gradients and the values and the overall values of the flowers. And there's some orange in there because that's what yellow bells look like. And I've had these moments where when I finish a drawing, I usually think it's not decent. Then I look at it the next day and it's surprising how decent it looks like. So what I do is, when I draw, after I finish drawing, I leave it and I won't look at it for quite some time. Then when I look at it, so by the time I decided to look at it again, it has this new effect on me that it didn't have when I was drawing the drawing. Now moving on. This is a lily. Now, my reference for this was a violet lily, but I didn't have any violet in my color pencils or purple, so I decided to use the dark blue. And this is the part where I started to learn the shading direction, because for example, if the object is bending that way, then you'll shade that way. If it's bending this way, then you'll shade this way. So it depends on how the object is bending on how you shade it. So like, as you can see here, I think I did pretty decently with this one. Like, I really showed the gradients of values in this flower. And moving on, of course, there's the classical rose. Now this one, I'm really happy with how this came out, because this one I was really figuring out how the shadows work from the dark red to the light red. And the darkest part I colored black so that it shows. This took 3 hours to draw and color. When I was thinking of doing this project and study, I didn't really expected that coloring flowers and drawing them would be as challenging as I thought it would be. The same with the character designs that I did on the previous video. on the previous week. I didn't expect them to be that challenging, so whenever I do a new theme of study and project, I think of it as really simple. And when I started doing the project, it's, well, usually not how I expected it to be, but there's improvement. For here, I really applied the shapes, starting from the most inside up to the outside petals of the flower, and really satisfied with this one. Really satisfied. Now moving on. By the way, this is a sandpaper. The one I'm using to cover the other part of the page. Now moving on. Do you guys have any guesses what flower this is? I'll give you some time. Okay, it's a sampaguita. It's the national flower of the Philippines. And this is the flower that you will see often in Catholic churches. And it has a great fragrance to it too. Really like the smell of sampaguitas. Well, as you can see, they're white. And what I didn't know was that in petals and flowers, there's this mini subtle folds that unless you started really looking at it, it's hard to notice. That's why there's shadows in here. And this came out really decently, the flowers here. And I included some leaf because in the rose one, in the reference, there's a stem and a leaf. I didn't include it. So in this one, I decided to include the leaf. Now this drawing is around the 2 hours and 30-minute mark. And if you're ever in the Philippines, you can see people selling sampaguitas near the churches. And now, moving on to the one last drawing that I did for this flower week, flower study, flower project. I decided to draw a hybrid of the flowers that I've been drawing, and I have a picture of this. Yes, as you can see, there's like my signature in there. I put signatures on the drawings that I liked. That's why they see that. And this one I did with almost to no reference. I'm really happy with like the center here, the rose-like flower in the center. Because when I was drawing this, I was figuring out the shapes and the shadows and how it goes. Now this one, this flower, this is a little bit trickier because I was trying to figure out how the petals of the flower folds. Then I decided to draw a larger petal of yellows. I really like drawing this one because I get to show the fold here, and I figure out how to draw this one. You put the emphasis of the darker colors on the edge so that it shows a folding image. And I drew some vines to have some green in there. Vines. Little vines. And the shadows too, I improve on the shadows, the values, the gradients. And if you see the flowers that I drew, it's mostly monochromatic colors. And I think this really good start for coloring is that the focus is on one color, on how dark and light it should be. And this video was not supposed to be about flowers. When I was planning this video, I was thinking of doing the plants from Plants vs Zombies in my take, but the flowers are what really attracted me. It might be a potential video in the future. And I think why the flowers are the one that really attracted me this time is because I see and I think that flowers, the blooming of flowers, is potential coming into being. And that's the creation story. And that's the same with art. And for those of you who's starting coloring their drawings, you can try this. It helps, it really helps. I improve on folds with flowers. And that's what I have for you this week. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. And as always, Striker logging out.